Hello, everyone, and welcome to 2024 Football Signing Day. I'm Travis McCurdy, joined by head football coach Dustin Beurer. And, Coach, just give us your general thoughts about this signing class.
It's a class that I'm really excited about, having a full year to work on it instead of a scramble 3 weeks to put something together. I thought our coaching staff did a fantastic job identifying talent early. I think we're still in the catch-up mode a little bit until we get to about 18 months into this. We'll probably be back on schedule, but I'm really fired up with the work our coaches put in, identifying the right talent, identifying the right fits for Northwood and for our football program, what we're looking for in the program. We had, 23 guys out of our signing class were from programs with winning records and 26 months of the playoffs, 6 won conference titles this year, 11 district champs, 6 regional champs, and 3 state champions. And with that, we had 23 guys that were named all region, and 14 of those guys were all state. So I think it's those awards are who knows how that's come up with, but I do think we got the right talent, and there's some guys that were probably left off of some of those lists that I think are sleepers that we're really excited about.
So obviously last year you came in very late to the process, and now you've had more time. How is recruiting in year 2 versus recruiting in year 1?
Well, I think the difference for us now is we can sell to the players, number one, they can see our vision coming to fruition a little bit. We had guys be able to come watch us play, what our culture's like, be able to come watch us practice. Our players know us. The guys that were here in the program are able to talk about the differences and the changes that have happened and occurred, and be able to really sell us. Because I think the number one thing that you should look for when you are being recruited is who are the people you're going to be around the most, and those are your teammates. And so when your teammates talk positively of their experience and the culture within the football program, and hearing it from a player telling you that as a recruit, that goes a long way instead of just a coach telling you those things. So I think that worked in our favor. I think we had some firsts this year in the program, and things that hadn't happened in a long time with the winning record in conference play, first road win in a long time, finishing with a 3-game win streak to end the season, all those types of things that got recruits kind of excited to start believing hey, so I think we became a little more attractive to people on the front end of the process, and we still got to keep continuing to prove that we are going to completely flip this around. And I think as time goes on, we'll work really hard or die trying to try to keep getting this program in the right trajectory.
When you come into your recruiting class this year, were there any particular positions or anything in particular you were looking to add to the team this year?
Well, I think we wanted to beef up the depth in the offensive line. We'd like to carry a larger number than what we had going into last season, where I think we were at a 15 healthy, eligible linemen, offensive linemen, and I feel like we did that in this class, and with the potential of adding a couple more after the signing day. Defensive line was another area where we wanted to really attack the high school ranks, and we feel like we got a great start on that. There still might be, we got 1 or 2 visits coming up that are going to be really important for us to solidify that group. And we really were just attacking every which way on the roster. I don't think like any year you can just say, hey, we just only need this position group. I mean, I think most people in the country are going to try to take a quarterback every year, right? You're going to try to do anything to upgrade, and raise the floor of your roster while also trying to raise the ceiling of the roster at the same time. And I think that we were able to do that within this recruiting class.
Well, let's talk about all your guys here. We got 34 names listed on this list coming in. Let's go right from the top. Talk about Ty from Gaylord.
Ty Benzinger, all-state wrestler as well, going to come in and play some safety. He played a little bit of like a rover outside linebacker for them, but we think he's athletic enough through the camps and stuff that we had evaluated him at to be able to come in and play some of that safety and come down and help in the run game and get him oiled up in the pass game side of things. Definitely think he's going to be a guy early in his career that could potentially contribute, from a special teams standpoint. He's really tough. Coached by Coach Simoniak up there at Gaylord High School.
Former Timberwolf.
Yeah, there we go. And he was 11-1. They were 11-1 this year. Had a great season, knocked off some teams. One of the best seasons they've had in a long time. So the coach up there has done a heck of a job. And yeah, like you said, he's a former Wolf, and I'm sure he did his part. So we're excited about Ty and what he can bring into it. Comes from a great family.
Okay, Jordan from Waterford Kettering.
Jordan Bernard, big-bodied offensive lineman out of Waterford Kettering. kind of projecting him to be a interior guy playing the guard spot. He's a guy that we think we're going to be able to develop over his first couple of years within the program. He seems like he's hungry to want to develop and do a great job in the program, and a lot of that's getting the guys with the right mentality and do they mesh. And when you're an offensive lineman, you got to be able to mesh with your offensive line coach, and Coach Burton did a great job with this recruiting class of putting some pieces together, and excited to see what Jordan can develop into.
Next one's a running back from Toledo area, Marquan.
Marquan Brazwell, man, all-state guy out of Ohio, state champions, Toledo Central Catholic, coached by Coach Dempsey down there. Coach Dempsey pumps out college-ready guys every year. They do a great job within that program. All-state dude down there, bigger-bodied guy that can actually run and pull away from people as well. Physical runner. He's deceptively elusive at the line of scrimmage. Coach Ringer, our running backs coach, identified him early in the process, and he hung tough with us as we worked through FAFSA things and things like that. But I think Marquan's got a really bright future here for the program.
Another running back, AJ.
AJ Bryan out of Tecumseh. He's going to join a couple other Tecumseh guys that we have in the program, coached by Coach Dolson over in down there in Tecumseh. AJ's a guy that was getting some FCS, Patriot League looks, and we just hung tough with AJ through the process. AJ brings some value in different ways where you think if he's a running back that can line up in the slot, can run it between the tackles, can run it on the edge and the perimeter, can catch the ball on the perimeter, do those types of things, and return kicks as well. I like guys that can do multiple things, and that way, if you ever run into a situation where, hey, we're short in a position group due to injury or things like that, then you got guys that you can turn to. But we're really excited that AJ decided that he wanted to be a Timberwolf.
Next, we're going back to Gaylord for Connor.
Yeah, Connor Colano, man, he's kind of like their team glue guy. The coaches guys speak very highly of Connor, and he's an offensive lineman, bowling ball type dude that he'll get after it in the run game and things like that. We'll get him polished up in the pass game stuff a little bit more. But I think as any offensive lineman, you're trying to bring in guys to develop. It's one of the hardest positions to play as a young guy early in your career. So we're hoping that we can get him developed and moving on.
Over to Grand Rapids for Mill.
Mill Coleman, was a quarterback early in his career in high school. His family moved to the west side of the state, comes from incredible gene lines as well. But Mill's also a all-state hurdler, an incredible athlete as far as that's concerned. Plays defensive back, brings value as a defensive back, wide receiver, which we kind of pinpointed him as potentially in our program. He's got some length. We're going to get some size on Mill as he's been a two-sport athlete, 2 to 3 sport athlete most of his life. And once you get concentrated on that one sport, one area, I think Mill has a really bright future in our program. Athletic. He's coached by Coach Colster over there at Grand Rapids Catholic Central, state champs. And knowing Coach Colster who was a college coach most of his career, he runs his program like a college program. So he'll come in ready to understand what we're looking for.
Your first defensive lineman of our list is from Detroit, Isaiah.
Isaiah Daniels is a guy Coach Burton identified early in the process. And the great thing about Isaiah is he can play either side of the ball. And that's kind of what we were looking for with a couple of those guys to be swing guys, depending if we came short on one side or the other. But Isaiah Daniels got some length. If he played O-line, he'd be a tackle. If he plays defensive line, he can line up in that three technique type position, maybe do some field end things as well. Unbelievable young man. Really excited that Isaiah's in the program out of Detroit Southeastern, coached by Coach Dinkins.
And then first local, an offensive lineman from Freeland, Zack.
Zack Duoo was a guy we've been really fired up for a long time. Had him over to camp, had him over to spring practice as a junior, came to some games. And, we're really excited about Zack. We think he's got the potential to be a pretty darn good tackle in his career, but he's also got the versatility where he could probably bump inside if you need that. Coached by Coach Townsend over in Freeland. They're perennially a pretty successful program over there, making runs in the playoffs every year. And I think that's one thing you want to identify is you want to continue as you flip a culture of bringing guys in from winning cultures, right? And Zack Duoo obviously fits that bill, and he's a physical offensive lineman. Really excited about Zack.
And then your first quarterback from Ohio, Carson.
Carson Derlin, man, he's got a cannon from North Canton, Ohio, out of Hoover High School. and I think he coached by Coach Baum down there, all-state guy. He's got great size. He's got really good mechanics. He's got a quick release. Can run the ball, can kind of be a dual guy, and he's played linebacker in his career as well, so he's a tough kid. He can sling it, man. I think the sky's the limit for how good that Carson Derlin could be for us. Was one of our first commits in the class. He was the first commit in the class. We identified him early, got him up on our first official, him with one of our top receiver recruits, slot receiver out of Indiana, we'll talk about here in a little bit. They kind of buddied up, and those two were what kicked our class off and put it into some high gear.
And then the first of a few from Arizona, Alec.
Well, number one thing we is identifying areas you can get talent from outside of the state of Michigan at times, and Arizona's become one of those for us, where Coach Sweeney's been there now a few different times, recruiting at his previous stop down at Albion, and then now coming here to Northwood. We wanted to continue that going. There are Northwood alums that are down in that area. There's coaches that are transplants from Michigan down in that area that are familiar with us. Alec Ekholm, though, out of Horizon is a safety. He'll come down and stroke you. He can play in the coverage game. Coach Sweeney likes guys that they can bring a multitude of abilities at that safety spot, and we're really excited about Alec Ekholm, who's all-region guy, played on a playoff team down there.
Next up, a tight end, Andrew.
Andrew Fuss is from Riverview. Gabriel Richard, coached by Coach Gant down there. We kind of got him slotted as he played offensive line. He played tackle in high school, played some D-line. Now he's got some length to him. He's got a great frame. We're hoping to turn him into a little bit of a tight end here while he's here in college, and really excited about Andrew. And I think the unique thing about Andrew is I believe like during their season at one point, their coach stepped down and they just kept putting their heads down and going to work, and Andrew took a big leadership role. They ended up finishing with a really solid season this year as well, and making a little bit of run in the playoffs. So excited what Andrew can bring to the table. I know I keep saying I'm excited, but I am.
Well, that's good. That's a good thing to be excited. Back to Arizona for a wide receiver, Brillan.
So when you get texts from coaches from the Arizona area that say, how the heck did you land Brillan Gardner, that's a good sign. He was the 6A wide receiver of the year. Liberty High School won the Open State Championship, which is a big distinction down there. It doesn't matter what division you are. You get in based on record. They won the Open State title down there. We think we got a big-time steal there. They were undefeated in the state of Arizona, lost one game up in California, I believe it was. Brillan's got length. He's got size. He's a guy you can move in the slot and be a bigger slot guy. He's a guy that can play on the outside. Did things that fit what we're trying to do schematically here at Northwood. Brillan Gardner, that was a really happy night. When the Lions lost the Super Bowl, or lost the NFC Championship and the opportunity to go to the Super Bowl, Brillan Gardner committed that night, so I called it. It was actually a win for the Wolves. So
there you go.
Pretty good night for
Take
us.
what you can get.
100%.
And then one more from Arizona, a linebacker.
Jaden Gilstrap out of Hamilton High School, and this is how we kind of got started in Arizona. Coach Zadebski was the former head coach at Walled Lake Western here in Michigan. Coach Z had been writing me about getting down to Arizona and trying to make inroads down there. So I got to thank him a lot for how he got us in got us in the right path down there. But Jaden Gilstrap is a long, physical inside linebacker. He's probably 6'2", 220, can move sideline to sideline, can help in the pass stop, drop areas. We're really excited about what Jaden Gilstrap's going to be able to do in our program and what he brings to the table.
Next up, an offensive lineman, Carson.
Carson Grant out of L'Anse Creuse North High School, coached by Coach Rhoda. It's wild when you start seeing guys that you recruited out of high school become head coaches in the state of Michigan. It tells you you're aging a little bit. But Carson's a scrappy offensive lineman, interior guy, can play in that guard slot, and he'll get physical, get after. He's a guy who's really fired up to be a Wolf, and we're excited to get him in here. And Coach Burton did a great job of recruiting him and getting him here to develop him.
Mount Pleasant, there's our next stop, Aiden
Holiday, another fairly local guy, all-state, all-region guy out of Mount Pleasant Sacred Heart. I think, plays 8-man football, all-state dude, has all the measurables that you're looking for, great size. He's going to play that jack linebacker position for us, that hybrid defensive end. And Aiden's going to be able to play physical. He can move and do the things that we're looking for, where he can drop in the pass game and do those types of things. So we think Aiden brings a lot to the table for us.
Next up, we got a defensive lineman, Kashan.
Yeah, Kashan King, man. Detroit Denby High School.
Pardon to Kashan.
Yeah, Kashan out of Denby High School, coached by Coach Carr, who's, we had a player, Corday Clayton, who committed to us last year from Denby. So props to Corday on the assist here, and Coach Carr for helping get these guys to campus and everything. They finished with a strong record this year. Kashan is a specimen-looking young man, and we're very excited about him being in the program. We think he's going to figure into the 2-4 ice positions, maybe be able to do either or in his time here. I always joke with Coach Sweeney, being an offensive line guy, he'd look great at tackle too at some point. But we're really looking at him as a defensive lineman. We thought he was a real cornerstone piece to this recruiting class to get him to commit to be a Wolf.
A safety from Utica, Isaiah
McGary, he's about 5'10", 5'11", so he's not as long as typically, but he will come down, he will smoke you. He will play physical. He plays fast. Getting him in the film room, he's smart, and he's a guy that has one of those infectious personalities. When you're around him, that he's gonna work really hard in his time here to continue to maximize his abilities. But we're really excited about Isaiah McGary out of Utica High School, coached by Coach Marogi.
And then back to the defensive line with Tyler.
Tyler Marogi brings some value. I think he's a guy that kind of got hidden in the works here a little bit. Number one, I think he's an all-state discus guy. Only throwing the disc 1 year, and he was popping 165 in his first year throwing the disc. So he shows that explosion that you need. He played pulling guard for them in defensive end, so we got him slotted to either play D-line for us in that field 4-eye, potentially, depending on how big. Right now, about 240 pounds. We think he can get to about 270. 275 and be a boundary 4-eye for us as well. Very great hips, really long in the wingspan side of things. 6'9" wing, I believe he had for a 6'1" guy is pretty impressive. And he's got great explosion and pop out of his hips, and we're really excited about what Tyler's going to be able to do in the program too.
Next up, Griffin from Rochester.
Long snapper out of Rochester, coached by Coach Vernon. And he can zip the ball back there. He's going to bring incredible value. Coach Arnold worked tirelessly on trying to identify who are going to be our top long snapper candidates in this recruiting class. And once he identified that Griff was going to have the opportunity to be the guy that we were going to pursue, he went fast and furious on him, and Griffin decided to commit. He's trained the long snapping side of things quite a bit. His dad joked how much money they've had to put into the training and things, but it's going to pay off for him, and it's he does a great job. He's got great velocity back there on the short snaps for field goals, and also very accurate as a long snapper for the punt side of things.
Wide receiver from Indiana, Carter
Minix is. Wow, he's electric. Carter Minix is an electric guy. He'll be in the slot side of things, look to play a role in that. I think he's going to be able to take the top off of defense, go vertical, help us in the jet game, and get the ball on the perimeter, catching screens, those types of things. One of our the first 2 commits that we had in this class, it really hit it off with Carson on his visit. I think he's been phenomenal to deal with in the recruiting process, and a top-notch young man out of Bishop Dwenger High School, coached by Coach Garrett down there. And like I've said about all these guys, but Carter Minix got an opportunity to potentially make a dent in this program here early in his career.
Defensive line, Lamar
Moore. You're on the right guys when guys try to come in and flip guys here late, and like I said, Lamar is a nose guard with a heck of a wingspan. He can play long in there, even though he's shorter in stature, but he can play very long, explosive in his hips, very physical in the run game out of River Rouge, coached by Coach Petway, and they've done a great job at River Rouge being a successful program here in the last 8 years or so. And we're excited about Lamar and what he's going to bring to the table up front, and get Coach Lynch's hands on him and develop him.
A school we've many recruits over the years. Warren De La Salle.
Warren De La Salle, Raheem Rabbi is he's got a value. He's a value guy, man. He plays receiver. We had him at camps, showed some skill at receiver. Kind of got hurt early in his year here, playing receiver. But it also brings value in the kicking game. He's a heck of a kickoff specialist guy. Can also punt, very raw on those things. But shows great potential. Coached by Coach Roan, and Coach Roan's not gonna lead you astray. I mean, if he thinks a guy's gonna help you eventually in his career, you listen, and it makes you come to attention a little bit. So we're really excited about BB joining the program.
And then another offensive lineman, Joey.
Joey Ramsey out of Crosswell, Lexington. Joey suffered a knee injury end of his junior year, and he would readily admit that his senior year didn't start how he went, getting comfortable and moving and all those things. But to me, Joey Ramsey's got an opportunity to be one of the steals of this class, because coming out of his junior year before that injury, I think everybody was on him. He's physical. He will come off the ball. He will knock your face in a little bit. And we're just really excited to have Joey join the program and get him here. As we kind of want to see how he was feeling here as we got into January a little bit, and our plan came to fruition where you got to see some video of him working out and moving and looking a lot better, feeling a lot better. He's excited to be a Wolf, and we're excited to have him in the program.
And then to Romeo for linebacker Ryan.
Ryan Relier out of Romeo, Michigan, a linebacker, downhill linebacker. He'll smack you as well. Does a decent job playing sideline to sideline. He does come downfield fast in the run game. Kind of plays with the screw loose a little bit. He's long. We're excited about that. I remember his dad toting the rock back where I grew up down in Lenawee County. He was a heck of a ball player down there as I was growing up. So comes from a pretty good bloodline there. But Ryan, all-state, all-region guy. Really excited. And Romeo's a program, that's always going to have to. They always have to punch above their weight a little bit in the MAC Red, and I love the mentality of those guys coming out.
Another linebacker from Dearborn.
Yeah, Hassan, Big Hoss, out of Dearborn, coached by Coach Grant. Inside linebacker, guy with a lot of potential. I don't even think he's been able to, started to crack the potential where he has, but he's got a potential to be a physical linebacker. As an all-region guy for them at one point in his career, and one of our earlier commits, honestly, and die hard for the business program here. Parents are real solid people, comes from a great family, and we think that Haas got a chance to really progress in our program in his first couple years.
Wide receiver from Holly, Tony.
Tony Simmons brings so much value in a lot of different ways. I think he's probably one of the most slept on guys in the recruiting class this year. Some really good teams are kind of trying to come in late on Tony. Coached by Coach Keenest over there. I've known Coach Keenest. I actually tried to recruit Coach Keenest out of high school as well. So there's the age thing flying in. So when and Coach Keenest he's been around the college game and the professional game and stuff. And when he tells me he's one of the most special guys he's been around, when you see Tony, he's still kind of raw, but he can play receiver. He played running back for him. He played outside linebacker for him. He could probably line up and play safety. I can't say enough great things about Tony as a person as well, and he plays basketball as well for those guys. I'm really, really, really fired up to see what this young man develops into, as basketball was his original first love, and he really started getting into football, more towards his junior year, and really starting to love it more towards the senior year, and that's when he became man, I really love this football thing. And, sometimes it's not a bad thing. That's a shout out to all you basketball guys out there.
Yeah. Antonio Gates, lots of great basketball players that turned into football players. California for your next one, tight end.
Yeah, Charlie Stobber out of Redondo Union in California, coached by Coach Ellison. His dad actually played tight end here, or played here in the 80s here for the Wolves. So we got some Wolf bloodline, and Charlie's got a really great frame that I think we're going to be able to continue to develop. Out of the tight ends we're kind of looking at and taking in this class, he's probably the most, pure tight end that, lined up end line, didn't just flex out his whole career. It's a really tough position to recruit, so that's why you got to head out to California and try to find maybe that complete one, because we're all fighting over those same guys. And so we're excited about the potential that Charlie could bring to the program, and I think he's going a long way from home, but has some Michigan ties, so that kind of helped with his decision a little bit.
And then offensive line again with Noah.
Noah Till was an all-region offensive lineman there at Denby for Coach Carr again. Another guy part of that Denby connection we kind of talked about. He's got some incredible length. He's about 6'1", but he has a 6'7" wingspan. We really look for that, and Coach Burton did a great job of recruiting Noah here throughout the process and evaluating him and getting him to camp. And we really think he's a guy that we could see developing here in the next few years to help us. I mean, I think he's going to provide incredible depth eventually for the offensive line position, and that's why you see quite a few big guys on this list.
And then a safety from Big Rapids, Riley.
Riley Venix is an interesting guy. I think he's Area Player of the Year over at Big Rapids for Coach Seltzer. They went 10-2 this year. He played quarterback. He played safety. He played some outside linebacker, does it all. He's a three-sport athlete, plays basketball, probably could play baseball in college if he decided he wanted to. Kind of got an assist from an alum and his son-in-law on this one, and we're excited about Riley joining the program, and I'm really fired up to see what he can develop. Those are the guys like that play three sports. You don't see that very often now, so you got to kind of try to envision what their body's going to turn into once they commit to one, and we think we're going to like what we see.
And another linebacker from Clarkston.
Nick Wasenko, coached by Coach Pinard down there. There's not a person in the school that will say a bad thing about Nick down at Clarkston, a leader on their football team, played linebacker for them. And I think Nick's got a chance to kind of blow up and maybe even move down a level in his career should he decide to get that big. But aggressive dude, like I said, high character, great family. I got some friends who teach in the district who couldn't say enough great things, and they were reaching out and without Nick knowing and saying what an awesome young man he is. So, the character side of things goes a long way in the recruiting thing, and it's going to make our program better.
A running back from Roseville.
B.J. Weathersby, all-region running back out of Roseville. I think he's a guy that's got an opportunity to develop into something here. He plays on a team that's full of great athletes there at Roseville in the last few years, and he's a guy that can get downhill a little bit. He showed a little bit of shake in our camp and stuff like that. So there's a lot of positives that we see out of BJ moving into getting him here on camp here in the fall.
And then your second quarterback of the class,
Kaiden Wong out of Ann Arbor Pioneer, led Pioneer to one of their best records in a long time. We think, we're excited to see how he develops physically. If you look at him, he hasn't even begun to kind of scratch the surface of his physical development, as most of these guys haven't, probably as being 18-year-olds for the most part, 17, 18-year-olds. But really liked some of the intangibles he brings. Smart player, has some solid technique. He trains with one of my former players who usually tries to put me on the guys that he thinks will fit to our system. So we're really excited about Cam.
And an offensive lineman, Bo
Woodard out of Roseville. Both Roseville guys coached by Coach Snowden, who's done a heck of a job getting that program rolling over there. But Bo's dad played here as well. He's another one with Timberwolf bloodlines. Physical guard. If you look at Bo right now, you can tell he's still he's got a lot of room for growth and maturing physically, and he'll get after it. He's nasty. He's got a long wingspan. All those great things that you're looking for in an offensive lineman, and we're fired up. And Bo's kind of been through the process. He's played the long game with us as getting here, and he was honestly, once we got to the winter recruiting, he was one of our true first commits out of summer camp. So.
And finally, your final recruit for this class is a defensive back from Farmington.
Yeah, Michael Woods, corner with a ton of potential, loads of potential, coached by Coach Albrecht, guy I went to college with down there at Albion. Defensive back, we look at him as a corner, and Coach Sweeney's really, really excited about his potential and his growth that he can bring to the program. Helps provide depth in one of our strongest position groups we feel on the team as far as from a leadership and character standpoint in that room. And I'm excited for those guys to be able to put their arms around Michael and get him rolling.
Well, in addition to all these guys, you've had three guys, I believe, join the team at the semester. You want to talk a little bit about those guys?
Yeah, so all guys that we had experience with in the past, tried to recruit out of high school, know their high school coaches, had met their families or connections to their families before in the past. And, Trent Hill came from Ferris State, running back out of Chelsea High School. Another one whose whole family's athletic. We're excited about what Trent can bring to that running back room, see what he can do and provide here this spring. He's silent but deadly, man. He'll do a great job for us, and we're sure of it. Jackson Price, he did his first four. He went to Colgate initially out of high school. He's from Reid City, Michigan. His dad Monty's the head coach down at over at Belding, was the head coach at Reid City out of high school. Had the opportunity to coach his brother down at Albion, was a running back for me. We loved Jackson out of high school, didn't have the opportunity to coach him up. Coach Sweeney's been salivating to get his hands on Jackson Price for a long time. He recently played this past year at Tennessee Tech, and he's coming in to finish his MBA here. And he's looked everything that we thought he was going to be during our workouts at this point. And the last one's Jack Shashela. He's out of Adrian College, all-conference 4-year starter down there. We've noticed that some of the Division III guys that played a lot of their career, their 4 years, that had the COVID year to play with, translated to this level. And we had some really good success with some of those guys this past year. Jack is a guy that, I really would have loved to coach when I was coaching the MIAA. And now he comes up here, explosive in his lifting. He's got really good hip-hop. He's tough as heck. He's smart. He's diligent. We're excited to see what depth and opportunities he can provide us to improve us up front.
Well, that's all your newcomers so far. You mentioned, and it's the old adage, recruiting never stops. What are you looking for the rest of this, like late spring, early summer, that you're trying to add to the roster?
Yeah, I think if we can still continue to provide some depth up front on the defensive line, I don't want to get in trouble here by anybody, but we got a big Thursday through Saturday this week with a couple of guys that could really take this class even to another level that we would be ecstatic to get into the fold with us. And we'll talk about that at the time that we need to, but excited about those guys. You never know what happens after spring ball. It's the new day and age of college football. You got guys that leave, guys that stay. I can tell you, you haven't seen a lot of guys leave our program, and I think that's a testament to the type of people that they're around, and to the culture that these guys are building here in the program, and the type of coaches. I'm not even talking about myself, but the assistants that are on staff. I think I got one of the best staffs to be around that care for kids, want the best for them, and want to develop them and turn them into a better version of themselves as people and also as players. So, guys tend to gravitate towards those types of environments. And like I said, if we can continue, get on trajectory here where we finish up here, and this whole thing, I think we're talked about 34 commitments, right? Plus 3 transfers, 37 guys total up to this point. Probably finish with 2 or 3 more as we close this thing out. And you just never know at the end of spring ball what happens with the transfer portal. If there's if you get an injury in spring and there's a need that you have at a position, we'll try to explore everything. But we're smart. We want to be smart with what we do with the transfer portal as well.
Well, Coach, looking forward to seeing all these guys on campus soon. Thanks for joining us, and good luck the rest of spring ball and with recruiting.
I appreciate it, Travis. Go Wolves.